Welcome to the Explainer. You know that feeling, right? You type something into Google, hit search, and bam, the answers are just there. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and follow the absolutely wild journey of a single web page, from the moment it's born all the way to your screen.
It seriously feels like magic, doesn't it? But it's not. It's this massive, incredibly complex, automated system working at light speed. So let's demystify that process and see exactly what's happening in that blink of an eye.
Okay, before we dive into the nuts and bolts, let's get one thing crystal clear. You absolutely cannot pay your way to the top of Google search. The entire system is built to find the most relevant results, not the ones with the deepest pockets. That is a foundational rule, so let's keep that in mind.
So let's get into it. Understanding how all this works isn't just for tech gurus, you know? Whether you're running a small business website, a blog, or you're just plain curious, knowing the rules of the road can really help make sure your stuff gets seen by the right people. Here's the game plan. We're going to follow the whole journey, step by step. First, how Google even finds a page. Then, how it understands what's on it. After that, how it decides to show it to you. And finally, we'll wrap up with why any of this actually matters to you. The whole mind-bogglingly complex process really boils down to these three core stages. You've got crawling, which is all about discovery. Then there's indexing, which is basically organizing everything. And finally, serving. That's delivering the goods right to you. Let's break them down. All right, let's start at the very beginning. The internet is, well, it's impossibly huge, right? So how in the world does Google even know a new web page exists? This is the discovery phase.
Think of it like this. Google unleashes this army of little automated explorers onto the web. Their mission? To constantly roam around and download the raw materials of every page they find. All the text, all the images, all the videos.
And this tireless explorer, it has a name, Googlebot. But it's not just one little program. It's a massive fleet of computers that uses complex algorithms to figure out which websites to visit, how often to pop by, and how much stuff to grab without slowing the site down. So, how does Googlebot find its way? Well, it's kind of got two main methods. Mostly, it just follows links from pages it already knows about, like following a digital breadcrumb trail. But website owners can also just hand it a map, called a sitemap, saying, hey, here's all my important stuff. But, it's not always smooth sailing for Googlebot. Sometimes it hits a dead end. Maybe it's a technical glitch, like a server error. Or it could be an intentional roadblock. A website owner can put up a little digital do not enter sign that tells Googlebot to stay out. Okay, moving on to stage 2. Once a page has been successfully discovered and crawled, its contents get sent to what you can think of as Google's massive digital library. This is where the real analysis and cataloging happens. Indexing is kind of like a super smart librarian carefully reading a new book. It's not just looking at the title. No, it's trying to understand the content, the key themes, what the images are about, and then deciding exactly where it belongs on the shelves so someone can find it later. Now, a huge challenge for this digital library is dealing with copies. The web is flooded with duplicate content, so Google's systems have to be smart enough to find all these identical pages, group them together, and then choose just one of them to be the main version, the canonical page. That's the one that actually gets a spot in the index. During all this analysis, Google is also gathering hundreds of other important signals from the page. It's looking at everything, from what language the page is in to how easy it is to use on a phone. All these little clues will help figure out how relevant that page is down the line. And here's a key thing to remember. Just like with crawling, indexing isn't a guarantee. If the content quality is just low, not very helpful, or if the page has a special tag telling Google, please don't index me, it might get looked at, but it's never going to make it onto that library shelf. And now, this is the moment it all comes together. This is the spotlight. You type a search, hit enter, and in a tiny fraction of a second, Google has to race through its colossal index and find the perfect answer. The second you hit search, this flurry of automated activity kicks off behind the scenes. Machines instantly scan the index for pages that match what you're looking for. And then they serve up what their algorithms believe are the highest quality, most relevant results for your specific question. And what's really cool is that relevant isn't a fixed target. It's dynamic, it's always changing. What's relevant depends on crucial context about you, like where you are in the world, what language you speak, and even if you're on your phone or a desktop. So for example, let's say you're wandering around Paris and you search for bicycle repair shops. You need, and you fully expect, to get a very specific set of local results that are actually useful to you right there and right then.
But if someone types those exact same words into Google in Hong Kong, they're going to see a completely different but equally relevant set of results. It's a perfect example of how the same search can lead to totally different answers, all based on context. So this means that even if your page got crawled and is sitting safely in the index, it still might not show up. Why? Well, maybe its content just isn't the best match for what someone's looking for, or its quality is considered low, or there's a technical rule telling Google not to show it. So, after all that, why does this journey of crawling, indexing, and serving actually matter? What does it mean for you, whether you're a creator, a business owner, or just a curious person on the web? Well, by understanding each stage, you can figure out where things might be going wrong. If your page isn't getting found at all, check your crawling rules. If it's not getting indexed, take a hard look at your content quality. And if it's not showing up in results, ask yourself, is my content really truly relevant to what people are searching for? Look, this knowledge isn't just trivia. It's basically the rule book for making sure your voice can be heard on the web. The system is all automated, but as we've seen, the things you do can make all the difference. So now that you know the rules of the game, how are you going to play it? Thanks for joining us.